this is linear programming. So we are going to use some of the pure exams questions to demonstrate the understanding of this concept. So make sure that you watch the video to the end. If you have any question, drop a comment in the comment section below. Before we begin, the idea of a linear programming is that, let's say this is a small town, right? So this is a small town whereby we have improper activities going on, like a bad behavior. You see, maybe armed robbery or something of that nature. So the security personnel had the issue, right? So the security personnel had information. So maybe the security system, right? They had information that there's a bad behavior going on. Okay. So what they have to do here is that they have to make sure that they surround these people so that they can easily arrest them. Right. So one thing they have to do, they have to make sure that they cross a barrier here. Right. So these people has to move towards they have to move towards the direction of where the robbers are, right? So they have to move in this direction. Is that okay? So this is the first barrier, and then we have another barrier this way. Is that okay? If you have another barrier this way, which direction do you think these people also have to move? They also have to move towards these people, right? And then if there's a third one, if you don't cross this portion, they can easily run away through this line, right? So you have to get another barrier here. Let's say, let's extend this one a little bit. Then you have a straight one going this way. Is that okay? So this is another one. So they have to form three different barriers. So these people also have to move in this direction. Is that okay? So that they can easily arrest these people for the society to have their freedom, right? So that's very simple. So the idea of a linear programming is that you need to draw the graph in such a way that you have to determine which direction do you have to go. So let's have a look at this question and see how you can tackle the problem. According to the question, you're told that you should show by shading graphically, right? So graphically means visual representation, and we will do that by the end of this video. So once again, make sure that you stay here to the end of the video. And then graphically, the region X of all points X and Y, which satisfies simultaneously the inequalities. So those are the inequalities that we have. We have Y less than or equal to this 2s, and then second by y less than or equal to 16 minus 2s, and then we have y greater than x over on 3, and then y greater than or equal to 0. So finally we have s greater than 1. So these are the inequalities: 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So these are the 5 strong inequalities that we are giving, and then they want us to determine the part that we will be shading graphically that satisfy the inequality. So to begin, you must first of all change the inequalities to equations. This is very, very important. So inequality is something that we are not interested in. This for simplicity. You have to make sure that you change the inequalities to a very simple equation. So let's begin with the first one that says that y is less than or equal to 2x, right? So this we are just changing this inequality sign to equal to sign. Very, very simple, just for us to be very easy to solve the problem. So this one tends to be y equals to 2s, right? So you have y equal to 2s. Okay, now after we change the inequality to equations, in graphing, so let's say this is a very simple graph that we are having. So this is notation. You need two things. Two things that you need is what x and what and y. So look at the arrangement. The arrangement matters here. The x comes before what the y. Is that okay? So maybe in this world everything is being created in pairs. So a boy and a girl and so on and so forth, right? You can mention anything that you can think of. So in graphing, you have to make sure that you are having what 2 points before you can what draw any graph or a point. Okay. Now that you have the equation, that is what y equal to 2x, meaning that you're having x here and then you're having a y. So let's say this is a girl, right? So a girl here, and then you have this one to be what? To be the boy, right? Maybe to determine the age of the boy here, this is based on the age of the girl, right? Is that okay? That's just a simple scenario. Okay, now here you have to choose a point. Is that okay? You choose your own point. So I would advise you to choose the simplest or the simple point that you can think of. So here I'm going for x is equal to 1. Maybe I'll say that you choose a value for each of these two people. Is that okay? Since we are not giving any value. So all that we are having here is the equation. So you just have to choose what? A point. So here I'm going for x is equal to 0. Is that okay? This is just a point, right? So when x is equal to 0, we are going to pick this 0 here and then plug in into this equation. Is that okay? For us to determine the value of the y. So what that means is that whatever you see the x here, you are going to replace that by 0. So when x is equal to 0, so you are going to have a y equal to 2 multiplied by 0, which gives us 0. So this one gives us the point that we need to plot the graph. Okay, now arrangement matters here. So x comma y is okay. The s always comes before the y. So that is when you have the s to be equal to 0, and then you have your y to be also equal to 0. So the first point that we are having based on this equation here is 0 0. Okay, so perfect. If you have the 0 0 as at this point, then the next one is that you have to make sure that you're having two different points. This is what we call a point. So this is what the first point here, and then you have to need or you have to get a second point. So here, look at something. The first part here, we choose x to be equal to 0. Is that okay? The second thing that you're going to choose is that you have to choose for the y, right? So you choose for the y. Okay, so for the y, you have to choose any number, right? If you choose any number, choose a number in such a way that if you solve, you are going to get a whole number. If you don't know what a whole number is, that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. Okay, here I'm going for y equal to 6. So when a y is equal to 6, it means that whatever I'm going to have the y. So maybe let's say the boy is 6 years in this case. So if the boy is 6 years here, and then you have to determine the age of the girl. Okay, so y is equal to 6, and then y equal to 6. This is the equation that we are having. Y is equal to 2s. So whatever you see the y, we are going to replace that by 6. So 6 is equal to 2s. You just need to solve this simple equation, and this means that you are having your x to be equal to 3. Right? Okay, now you are going to have 3 and then comma 6. So this is the second point. So you have one point which is 0 0, and then you have the second one to be 3 comma 6. So the same way we have to solve for the rest of the inequalities, right? You just have to change the inequalities to equations. After that, you choose a point for the x and the y. Then we are going to have two points, and then let's see how to draw the graph in the next section. So these are beautiful points that I had. So this is for the first part, right? So you've already seen this here. So and then the second one is that we had 016 and then 80, right? So the way I had these things are it was just the same approach. So for the second inequality, I'll change the inequalities to equation. So this inequality sign would tend to be equation. So you have y equal to 16 minus 2s, right? So this is the equation that you're having. So when we have the x equal to 0, then whatever you see the x here, we are going to replace that by 0. Okay, so meaning that we have y equal to 16 minus 2 into bracket 0. Right, so meaning that y is equal to 16. Remember what I said at the beginning, we need what? A point. So they have to work in pair. So s is equal to 0 and then the y is equal to 16. So that's how I got my 16. So now the second part, remember, if you choose for the x, you just have to choose for the y as well. So yeah, you can say that when y is equal to 0, right? So whatever you see the y, we are going to replace that by 0, right? So if you solve this thing, you had your x to be equal to 8. So you have the point to be 8 comma 0, right? So that's the side I saw for this and this as well as the final one. So you can see that this is a little bit different. So you have the x to be greater than or equal to 0. instead of y. It's the same approach. So if you turn this guy to be s is equal to 0, right? It means that if you replace this thing, this is your y, right? So if you replace the y or the s by 0, you are still going to have the y to be equal to 0. Right, so the final point is 0. So those are the points that we need to draw our graph. So now, for you to draw the graph, you don't need any specific scale or anything that is so special about this. All I have to concentrate on is the smallest number or value among the x, right? So you start from there. So you can see that the smallest value here is the 0, right? So and then the largest among these things is 8. So if you are drawing your graph, you have to make sure that you draw the graph. So let's quickly see how to draw this graph. If you enjoyed the video so far, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Comment down below if you have any questions. So you have a pure graph questions on quadratic and other stuff, so you may consider subscribing to the channel for more content like this. This is a picture of the graph, right? So even though this is not a proper graph here, you can see exactly what is happening. So maybe depending on the graph or the type of the graph that you are using, the trick here is that you have to make sure that all the values are available. So this line is for the x, right? So this line here, the one moving from, let's say, left to right, right? So left to right here is the x line. So for the x value, S value is the values that comes first, right? In ordered pairs. So these are ordered pairs. So the value that comes first are the x, and then the smallest among them is 0, and then the largest among these people is 8, right? So what that matters here, you just have to make sure that you have the 0 here, and then the maximum among the s value is 8 is also here. That is the most important thing. Even my own goes beyond that. So that the secret here, you have to make sure that all the numbers are available. So the same applies to the y. So the y value starts from, maybe let's say, down to top, right? So down to top. So this is our y or our y line. So the smallest among the y values is 0, and then the largest here, and that could be 16, right? So the largest is 16. So how are we going to number this? I would choose to number this thing from 2, right? So maybe let's say 2, and then 4, 6, right? 8, we have 10, uh, 12, and then 14, 16, maybe, and then 18. Is that okay? So this is how simple you have to number your graph. Now, the only thing that matters here is that you just need to plot the point as being given to you. So this is for the first inequality. These 2 points is for the first inequality. So let's plot them. You start at a 0, right? So this is the 0. So let's plot our points here. We have the first point to be 0, 0. Okay, so 0, 0. So you start at the 0. So x is 0, and then y is also 0, right? So they are all here. Can you see? So if x is 0, y is 0. Okay, so the second point I'm having there is 316, meaning that s is equal to 3. So where is 3? 3 is here. And then you don't go like this. You don't go this way, neither you go this way. So you move top, right? Or if it is negative, you go down. Okay, so 3 here. In this case, you have a 3, 6. So 3 here, you move straight to 6. So 6 is somewhere here. Is that okay? So 6 is somewhere. Now, this line here, I will see for the first inequality, you have what? Other inequality that is that y is less than or equal to 2s. You got 2 points out of that, right? So these are the 2 points out of we had. So you just need to pick a rule here and then draw this line, this straight line, right? So passing through the 2 points. So that's what I say at the beginning of this thing, that you have to make sure that you have a 2 points for what each inequalities. So even though this is not that a straight line, so let's consider this one to be a straight line, right? Okay, so now there you have the y. This is the y less than 2s. That is for this line. Okay, now the second one out of the second one, we had 0, 16, and 8 8 0. So how do you plot that? So 0, 16. So 0 is here. You have the 0, and then 16 is somewhere here, right? Can you see 16 is somewhere? So this is the point there, right? You have this point, and then the second one is what? 8 or 80. So 8 is here, and then what? 8 is here. This is the 8, which is the x, and then y0. Y will just be on this line, right? So y will just be on this line. So here's the line. So you have this one. So once again, you just need to draw what? A straight line from what? From this point, and then to what? To this point. Okay, let's see how to do that. So this is what a very beautiful line that I have here, and then the next one is 0, 0, which is already here, so we don't need to draw that. And then the second one is what? 6, 2. So 6 is here, and then where is it 2? So you have what? 6 here, and then 2 is somewhere here, right? So this is the line to be 2. So 2 will be somewhere at the top of this. Okay, so the first one is here, and then the second one is somewhere, and then finally we have what? 0, 0, which is still here. So what you have to do here is that you draw this line from this point, right, to pass through. Is that okay? Okay, now very perfect and nice. So these are the lines that we have. So this inequality is for let's say y equal to 2, right? So y equal to 2 is right, this line. So these are the three strong lines. Now it is our turn to know exactly where to shade. Is that okay? Now let's see where to shade in this video. Now, for us to know exactly which side to shade, you have to do some simple tests. Is that okay? So what I mean by the test here is that let's pick this line. So the line here is this supposed to be equation, right? So this is an equation since we've changed everything to an equation. Okay. Now, if this is an equation that we are having, let's pick this line. So this line is what we are going to pick first. Only this one, right? Only this line. Okay. Now that you have either you are going to shade going the direction of where the bad people gathering themselves, right? Well, let's say in this case, on armed robbers, where they've gathered themselves. That's the direction that you have to go. Other than that, they will all vanish. Okay, now are we shading up or we are shading down? So the trick here is that you stand below the line. So let's say this is the boundary. So you stand below here. Which town are these people located? The Arabs, are they here or they are here? I'm talking about this line, just this line. So let me redraw the graph. So this is the graph that we are having. So just the first line, this line, so that you can see clear what I'm going to talk. Arabs, are they here or they are here, right? So that's one thing I'm talking about. So what I have to do here is that you pick a point below here. So what I mean by the point below here is that any point below this line, right? So any point below this line. So this line here, we are going to pick any point. So how do you pick any point? Of course, here I don't want any difficulties. So just for simplicity, let me go for 2, 2, 1, right? Or maybe it can even be 2, 0 right here. So 2, meaning that my x, we are picking a point. So 2, comma what 1. Of course, 2, 1 will fall below this line. Maybe you can even go somewhere here so that we can see better. So let's say 4, 4, 1, right? So maybe 4, 1, 4, comma 1, or maybe let's limit ourselves to just this 2, 1. Okay, if it is 2, 1, 2, 1 is below the line. All right, so this is the line that we are having. If I want to plot the point 2, 1, 2, and then 1 will be somewhere here. All right, so here. Okay, so 2, 1. So I can see that this 2, 1 here is below the line. Let's see if this 2, 1 satisfy the inequality that we are given. So the inequality here was what? Y is less than or equal to 2s. That is for this line, just this line. Okay, if you say 2, 1, meaning that 2, comma 1, so meaning we have the x to be 1, the y to be s to be 2, and then y to be 1. Okay, now wherever you see the y, replace that by 1, and then wherever you see the x, which is less than or equal to 2, comma 2, right? Is that okay? Okay, now let's plot the point. You have what 1 less than or equal to 4. Is it true? That is the question that you should ask yourself. That is this thing what true? There's a question mark here, right? Is it true that this is why if someone is of a year, is it the same as that person is less than or equal to a 4 years old person? It's true, right? So $1 is less than or equal to $4, right? So this thing here is true. If this is true, then it means that we are going to shade down here. This is the direction that our rebels what gather what themselves. So we are going to shade down here, right? So we are going to shade what down. Are you getting the point? Or maybe let me clean this one a little bit so that you can see where the other people also move to. So down here. Is that okay? So we are going to move in the directions of what where the rebels are, right? Okay, now this is the direction we are going down here. You can see that if you pick any point outside or on top of this line, it won't satisfy the inequality. So let's just check that. So let's pick a point like let's say we have what 1 6, right? So 1 6. If I want to plot a point 1 6, 1 6 will be somewhere here, right? So if you want 6 1 6, so let's change this point to be 1 6. So let's check whether it is satisfied the inequality, meaning that our y is of 6, which is less than or equal to 2, and then x is what x is 1, right? So you have 6 less than or equal to 2. This is absolutely wrong. Can you see? So the points, the direction that we are going to shade is down here. The same thing you have to apply for the rest of the equation. So let's go for this one, right? So let's go for this is just a different equation. So let's check this inequality. Now for this particular line, this line here, we are going to determine which side to shade. You just need to pick the point on top of the line or below the line. So if I pick a point on top here, on top of the line, so that should be, let's say 4 2, right? So maybe any point, someone can go for 3 2, provided that you are on top of the line. That is the most important thing. So let me go for 4 and then 2. So 4 2 will be somewhere here, right? Or maybe let's say 4 4. Is that okay? 4 4 4 4 here. So going for the point 4 4, let's test whether that will be okay. 4 comma 4. So we had our s to be 4 and then y to be 4. So this is the inequality for this line, right? So this line, so we are going to test that. So meaning that y is equal to 4 greater than or equal to s is also 4 and then on 3. Is it true that this 4 is greater than 4 on 3? Right? It is true. So this is what correct. So meaning that we are going to shade what towards what upward what direction. So this one is also going up. This line here. So this security personnel also have to move towards this direction. Is that okay? So this is the direction that they are also going. Okay. Now we are going to left with for the last one. So the last one is this inequality. That is the y less than or equal to 16 minus 1. The same thing, just have to testify. So this one is just it's no more top and down, but maybe let's say left and right. Right? So here and then and here. So any point here outside here, let's check it. Maybe someone can go for maybe let's say 10, right? So 10 will be somewhere 6, and then 10 will be somewhere here, right? So let's check if 10 satisfy the inequality. You had the inequality to be y less than or equal to 16 minus what? Minus 2s, and then we are going to 16, right? So 6 comma 10, this is the point. So s comma y, so our y is 10 less than or equal to 16 minus 2 to bracket 6, right? So we had 10 to be less than 16 minus 1 2, right? So minus 1 2. Is it true that this 10 is less than or 4? This is wrong. Is that okay? This is wrong. There's no way $10 can be less than or equal to $4. Alright, okay, so this is wrong, meaning that we are not shading towards the direction. So we are going to shade towards down, right? So we are going to shade towards down. So since this all of them are gathering into one particular place, or they are all aiming towards attacking the arrow base, they have to have one aim. So this guy also moving into this direction. I see. So this is the place that we are shading. So this is where we are shading. This area is where the rebels have gathered themselves. Okay, so this is just a simple understanding for inequality. Now let's see the second part of this question. That says that you should find the maximum based on certain expression. We are asked to find the values of x and y for which this 3x plus y is what? A maximum. right? So you want to know the values of these two people, that the expression here will be what? A maximum. The way of solving this thing is that you have to deal with the vertices. What I mean by the vertices here is that the boundary, the soldiers are the boundary, right? The interchange here. So one is here, which is 0, 0. So we have 1 point here, 0, 0, right? So that is one. This point here is what? One boundary. And then here, you just have to read this. So maybe here, I'm gonna go for let's say 7. Remember, always the x comes first. So 7, and then maybe let's say this can be what? Can be 3. So maybe let's say 7, 3. You have another point of view 7, 3, and then there's another joint here. So this is another joint here. So someone will go for, let's say 4, 4, 4, 4, 9, right? So maybe let's say 4, 9. If you are using a correct graph, you should have this thing accurately. Okay, now these are the 3 points that we are going to use to determine the values of the x and y, for which this one will be what? A maximum. So what are we are going to do? You pick them one by one. So here we have a, remember, this is the x and this is the y. So here we are going to have a 0, 0. So 0, 0 means that x is equal to 0 and then y is equal to 0. So 3 into bracket 0 and then plus or plus 0, right? So this will just be equal to 0. Is that okay? Okay, what about the second one? So the same thing here. Here we have the s to be 7 and then y to be what? 3. So you have 3 into bracket 7 and then plus or 3. So this 3 is just from this expression, right? Remember there's a 3 here. So I'm just replacing this x and y and then solve this thing nicely. And then finally we have a 3. And then what is the point here? X is equal to what? Equal to 4 and then plus or plus 9. So maybe yours will be different from what? From mine. Is that okay? So if you are done, you just need to determine the values of these two things. So once you calculate all these three people here, the one that is the biggest one is going to be the maximum, right? So the one that will be the biggest number here among all these three here will be the most. Suppose here I had what 90 and then here I had what 36. I mean suppose. So maybe you may have a different answer. So this one will be what? My maximum. Try this and give me your maximum in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more videos like this.